Let's take a brief look at Chapter 3, Theory Building. It's a kind of a fun chapter in the sense that it defines some of the basic terminology of theory building and how then we can make application in our research process. So theory and practice. What if the lights don't come on? We know when you flip the switch on, you're looking for a logical explanation. It's not that unicorns came and disconnected your light. There might be something a little more tangible that in your past experience would guide your thoughts. So attribution theory is one of the frameworks. You attribute one thing causing another. The sun is up, it's light out. So the sun being there is going to make sure, you see what I'm saying? We attribute one following the other. These are not bad things to understand but the attribution theory can lead to trouble when you make a false connection. But it's a starting point. So theory, a formal logical explanation of some events that includes predictions of how things relate one to another. Cause and effect. This is a tough thing to learn, quite frankly, cause and effect. You mean, I'll give you an example. If I do this, this, and this, I'm going to get that. Yep. Prove it. Well, I can't prove it, but I've witnessed it or observed it. That's kind of where we're going here. So understanding and predicting. So understanding is make sense of things. Predicting is we're looking for causation. And then you'll see this more in a straightforward manner in statistics. So examples, leadership, morale. This is a concept or a construct. Generalized idea about a class of objects, attributes, occurrences, or processes that has been given a name. So leadership, good morale leads to these things. Gross to GDP, it's a measurement. Excuse me, my voice is leaving me. Social network theory. So like Facebook, this has become, very powerful. How does that linking those social structures influence behavior? And it's been massive. I mean, not always for the better. But the social network theory is one thing to consider. And theories don't stay static necessarily. They change over time. So ladder of abstraction, concepts in sequence from the most concrete to the most general, and individual to most general. So concrete, solid, you can touch it kind of things. Abstract level. The level of knowledge expressing a concept that exists only as an idea or quality apart from an object. Empirical level of knowledge that can be verified. We can test it, in other words. Latent construct has to do with time, measurable but might not directly measurable or observable, but can be estimated through proxy measures. Okay, because it's latent. It's not, we don't see it. Maybe it's a long time in coming. So ladder of abstraction. So reality, punch press, plant, machinery, assets. Assets describe plant machinery and or a punch press, but it's more of an abstract concept. It's not a physical reality, but it's a term used to describe a reality. So abstraction, salesperson job performance, empirical level, we're going to attribute sales calls, number of sales, dollar value of sales to the job performance. That's the abstraction. Now, is it always true that the person that makes the most sales calls has the highest number of sales? Not always. That's why there's correlations and coefficients to consider. Proposition and hypothesis. The proposition is this: statements explaining the logical linkage among certain concepts or by asserting a universal connection between concepts. So treating employees better will make them more loyal employees. That's a proposition. Okay, hypothesis is a formal statement of an unproven proposition. So these are directly related. So you kind of, this is where a hypothesis is used in research. Empirical testing, examining research hypothesis against reality using data. So we're testing it. We're testing the hypothesis. Variables, things we can change and measure the movement on independent variable, dependent variable, but things that can move. We want to measure those things and operationalizing it. In the process of identifying the actual measurement scales to assess the variables of interest. We're trying to it's called getting your arms around an idea. So here's a proposition. Abstract level, we treat employees better, we get more loyalty. the hypothesis: increase retirement benefits 5%, reduce overall annual turnover. Okay, so we're trying to quantify this. Okay, we're trying to make it go from the abstract to the more concrete, the more measurable. We want to measure it. Is this a hard number or a soft number? You'll hear that a lot. So here, I'm not going to go through all these blocks here, but you can kind of see how these are put together, how they're mapped. A basic theory explaining voluntary job turnover. So job performance is what we're after. Okay, and so what are the symptoms of that, or the dependent? What does the job performance depend on? Voluntary job turnover, individual volition, meaning you quit, you move on to something else. That's what they're talking about there. So study that a little bit. That's a good dynamic to look at. Deductive and inductive reasoning. So deductive, we deduce something or reduce it. Logical process of deriving a conclusion about a specific instance based on a known general premise or something known to be true. Deduce it. Well, if this is true and we know it to be true, then this might be true. It's working our way backwards. Inductive is similar, but it's the opposite. So the logical process of establishing a general proposition on the basis of a basis of observation of particular facts. So sort of the opposite direction. And here's our last slide, the scientific method. So here are the steps: assess relevant existing knowledge of phenomena. This is what you're doing with your project. You're going to make these assessments. You're going to get your arms around the data. What is it, kind of the general things going on here? Because we want to use this information, this research, to predict things, or to make decisions, or to reinforce our assumptions. Fascinating stuff. Enjoy your reading.